Do you feel like you've hit max capacity for your one-to-one clients and the only way for you to scale more, make more money would be take more clients on, but then you'll burn out? I've helped coaches like Rob Swain get over 755 members on his challenge and Steve Kraft get over 300 people in less than 90 minutes and sell out his challenge multiple times. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Luke Johnson and I started online coaching in 2012. And since then, I've made multiple 7 figures for my own business and now I'm getting results like I just showed you with other online personal trainers. In this video, I'm going to break down my next step protocol showing you how I can take challenge members and turn them into one-to-one clients. But if you want proof that this works, then my client Sean implemented this and one of his coaches got 45 one-to-one clients off the back of just one challenge, closing at over 85%. To start, I'm going to show you the 3 biggest factors that will impact your conversion rate from member to one-to-one client, and I'll give you an estimated conversion rate that you should be aiming for. Next, I'm going to break down my exact process for my next step protocol so you can use it for your next challenge. And then finally, I'm going to give you this spreadsheet that you can see on the screen that you can implement and use with your coaches to get more signups, more deposits, and more one-to-one clients. Let's look at how we can get more one-to-one clients from your challenge. Factor 1 is looking at the cost for your challenge versus your one-to-one coaching price. So say for example, challenge 1 is 8 weeks and it was £100. Example number 2 is going to be 6 weeks and it's £200. For both examples, we're going to say that coaching is £250 per month for both coaches. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate, well, what is the price per month, taking into account a 4-week month for each challenge? Well, this one here is just £50 per month. This one here works out at £133 per month. So here, right there, example 1, if you're doing an 8-week challenge for £100, but your one-to-one coaching is £250, this is 5 times more expensive than this one over here, which is 1.875 times more expensive. That is probably the biggest factor when it comes to how many people are going to convert from members to one-to-one clients. Next factor, I'm going to give you a good and bad example. So for the bad example, let's say 50 people sign up for both, yeah? So 50 and 50. The bad example, they might only get 45 people starting. And then by the time they get to week 2, obviously this is a 6-week challenge, this might drop down to 35 people that have checked in on week 2. Continues to get worse and worse, because that tends to what happens. They're motivated and nice and high, and then they start to drop off. They go down to 28. Now, this bit here is where we're gonna implement the next step protocol, which is coming up next. By the end of the 6 weeks, they finish with 26 people. For the good example, they take their money just before the challenge starts rather than too far out, and start off with 50 people. They have 48 people check in on week 2, 45 people check in on week 4. Again, this is when we're going to do the next step protocol. And then by the end of the challenge, they finish with 40 people. So if we're looking at the difference here at this stage, so this is the stage we want to look at, that is a difference of 17 people. So factor number 2 is get as many people in your challenge as possible, then factor in the price for the challenge versus one-to-one so you know what conversion rate you should be aiming for, which I'll reveal at the end, and then make sure that when people sign up, they get all the way through, especially up until you pitch your one-to-one coaching around the end of week 4. So what does this look like overall? Bad example, you think getting to the end here, this is what you've got. Good example is you've just got far more people to pitch at right at the end right here. And factor 3 is this, the next step protocol. Whether you're doing 8 weeks or 6 weeks, as you can see on the screen, it's always the last 2 weeks that you're going to be carrying out the next step protocol itself to get them as one-to-one clients off the back of a challenge. So next, I'm going to go over to the whiteboard and we will go through the next step protocol in detail. As you saw previously, you want to make sure you get as many people onboarded as possible, get them results. And then when it comes to a 6-week challenge, at the end of the check-in, you want to send them a link to book in a next step call. And if you're doing the 8-week challenge, you'll do that on week 6 instead of week 4. So getting people to book in a call. You need to agree on what you want to call it. Don't just call it a chat. Don't call it a consult call. Just call it next steps, because that keeps it fairly open in regards to it's talking about next steps after the challenge. And then that does obviously involve getting additional help, because by this point, and why I like the 6-week challenge, is that they've got results, but they've probably still got a bit of time left to get the long-term result that they want. What you want to do is not just wait until week 4 of a 6-week challenge. You want to mention it prior. So if you're doing live group calls, implement it there. Post about it in the community. Mention it in your check-ins. Now you might be doing a weekly check-in or bi-weekly check-in. All depends on the price and the structure of your own challenge. I'm not going to go through that in this video. There's other videos on the channel that you can look at to find out more information. As I said, deliver a great experience and get as many people to that point where you're going to pitch the next step protocol. If you're starting off, you might use this as a mechanism to go from 30 clients to get some lump sum and then convert some of those people into one-to-one clients. Or you might want to take on another coach, and because you've built a personal brand, they don't want your coach to coach them because they don't know who the fuck they are. So this is why challenges can work extremely well, because you can do the one-to-many activities, you can build the systems, you can build a program, you can be on the live calls, but then they get a designated coach. And as you scale, you might have 1 coach, 2, 3, 4, 5 coaches, depending on how many people that sign up for your challenges. Recommend, if you are starting off and you're doing it, you take the calls. If you've got another coach, maybe you take all the calls the first time. But ideally, what you want to do, as you can see here, is you want to split the calls, and each coach has their own responsibility. And this is where you can say to the coach, you do a good job in the challenge, you have a higher probability that they sign up with you for one-to-one coaching, because they now know who that coach is, but they've never seen them before, and they built a connection. When it comes to challenge itself, make sure you set minimum requirements in regards to when you want them to respond to clients, but let them respond really quickly if they want to. They can go above and beyond of what the minimum standard is to give them the best chance of getting clients off the back of it. Mention the next step calls within the check-in prior to the calls being available. So if you're going to be doing a week 4 check-in, you want to do your normal check-in. If you're using a Loom, perfect. Do that, and then straight away, you'll want to send them this message. So share your calendar link. Make sure you've got that set up. I'll give you a list of things that you need to get in place at the end. And then mention it's first come, first serve. So you will naturally have probably a limited amount of client spaces that you can take on, especially, as well as your coaches. So make sure that they know it's first come, first serve. Again, if you want access to this whiteboard and the spreadsheet coming up, then check the link in the description and you'll get it for free. So this is an example of what you could send. So send them a check-in with the Loom link. Here's your check-in response. Please reply as normal via the app. So if you give them a Loom, we don't want them to maybe message and leave comments on the Loom. If you have any questions or if anything is unclear, as mentioned in your check-in, you also have the option to book a next steps call. This is simply a chance to chat through your progress in the challenge and discuss the most suitable next steps for you after it. So relatively clear. You can book your call using the link below at a time that suits you best. These are run on a first come, first served basis. So I recommend reserving your slot sooner rather than later. Here's the link to book in. Look forward to hearing back from you. Now, whether you use Calendly or High Level or whatever software, make sure you've got that set up. What I would highly recommend as well is make sure you have more availability, more days, more hours, more evenings. Yes, even on the weekend, because you might not want to work on the weekend, but most people work during the weekday and they might not be able to jump on a call until the weekend. Now, if you're only doing 2 to 3 challenges per year, it's only 2 to 3 times you have to do this. But more availability, the better. How long in advance can they book? Ideally, no more than 5 to 7 days, like it would be on a consultation call. Make sure, because they've already purchased, you're probably going to have this 5 to 7 days. If someone books in a call for tomorrow, they're more likely to sign up than they are for booking a call in for next week. What if they can't make the call? Well, when I go through the structure of how the next step protocol call is, you can use the exact same protocol, but just do a Loom recording and pitch them at the end. That would be something you do like last resort. Now, if you launch a challenge and there's a lot of people, say 500 plus, like my client Rob, you would need some form of adaptation for this. Wouldn't necessarily book calls in. But again, for the purposes of this video, we'll go based on this. So when we're looking at the call structure, 20 minutes. You've already sold to these people. They have paid you money to join the challenge. We don't have to sell them again. They've already brought in if you've got them a good result. So what you're going to do with the pre-call, make sure you set up automatic reminders, send them a personal message of the morning to confirm. Don't use an automation for this, voice note, a video, whatever it is, that they're good for that call. Then what I want you to do is spend 5 minutes beforehand looking at their progress, their results, their check-ins, and making notes, because you're going to use this in a bit. At the start of the call, welcome them. Say, it's so good to finally speak in person, even though you've been chatting via Loom or text. Mention you only have 20 minutes. So start off that call saying, I've only got 20 minutes because you have other calls and members to talk to. Let them know. Yeah, some people like to chat a bit. And then just tell them what the purpose of the call is. To look at their progress, answer any questions they have, and then at the end, discuss next steps. So that's you framing a call. Then what you want to do is you want to start off with progress and wins. So go through their progress and results. Ask them how they found it so far. Get them to say, oh, I love this or this and that. Let them sell it themselves to you. And you're going to take that information, you're going to highlight their wins, celebrate their successes. And what I want you to do is find out what's their big/next goal, and what is the thing that they may have struggled with in the past. And if they stop getting your help, they might fall back into bad habits. What I want you to do then is share your screen, to do this as a video call, and go through the coaching app. Get their photos up, get their metrics up, whether it's their measurements, whether it's their weight, whether it's their lifts. Pull it up and go through it. Show them visually, big them up. Then what you want to do is you want to future pace. Now you know their longer term goal because they've just told you. We need to use that information. So this is where you want to be more consultative. Explain what the next few months could look like. Based on that, you've lost 6 kg. You said you want to lose another 10. What we could do is X, Y, and Z. Tell them what it is. Make sure that we don't want you to fall back into X bad habit. So use the words that they've given you. Highlight the common reasons and say, what I want you to do now is I want you to carry on doing what you do. We still got 1 week or 2 weeks left, depending on when the call is booked. Then you get to the pitch. Tell them they have 2 to 3 options. Now this depends on your offers. And just say, if cool with you now, I'll go through a few options you have post-challenge. Option 1, you can go it alone, say it quickly and move on. Option 2, complete the challenge and sign up to one-to-one coaching. Or, which we'll look at in a bit, option 3, if you have another challenge, if you're running back-to-back, you could do that. Or if you have like a low-ticket membership or whatever it would be, you could also use that. Now, I'd highly recommend you pitch the one that gives you the most amount of money. And then after the challenge, if people haven't accepted that, anyone that hasn't accepted it and moved on to a one-to-one client, if you've got something lower price, you can pitch them that at the end. So what I want you to do now, we don't want to take their full money because they've still got 1 to 2 weeks left of the challenge. So what you'll need to do is you'll take a deposit, and you're not going to sell this. You're not going to try and pitch them. You're not trying to get their payment details and cards over the Google Meets or Zoom. Tell them you've got X number of spaces. For them to guarantee their space, pay a small deposit now, and then, which is taken off of their first payment. Then give them option 1 or option 2. Option 1 is this much per month, or option 2, which I like to use with my clients, is 3 months upfront into monthly. So they get a small discount because they paid 3 months upfront. And then what happens is they get, let's say it's $250 a month. For this, you might do 225, so you save £75. And then they actually only pay 225, 91 days onwards. So if they stay for 12 months, they're going to get even more of a saving. Then what's key is get them to agree the start date on the call itself. Take the deposit. Let me know when you've paid that, and I'll add you to my list and take off one of the coaching slots, and then find out what date it is. Because once you've got their card on file, you can just, if you're using High Level or Stripe or whatever payment gateway that is, you can then just start that subscription and schedule it ahead of time and make sure that that recurring revenue is coming in. Just say, next step, finish the challenge. What we're going to do, if they're going to start a week or 2 after, I'll give you, you'll still have access to the app. We're just going to a deload, a little diet break, and just sort of go through that. Now, some of the things that you'll want to include with the deposit, each coach will have a number of spaces. Just say I've got 5 spaces left. Explain that I've got 10 more calls booked in after you. Don't put too much rush. Do not hard sell. Send them the link for the deposit there on the call, whether it's the WhatsApp, the coaching app, or in the actual chat itself. Make sure they've got it, or email. And then what you'll need to set up for this to work is your calendar link for them to book in calls, a payment deposit, and then a tracking sheet, which I'm going to give you access to and we're going to go to in a minute. And then make sure that you, the business owner, or the coach itself, who, if they have access to it, can schedule the payment for the recurring payment to come out. Finally, I'm going to go through the spreadsheet that you can use with your clients and some things that you should do with your coaches to make sure that they're performing as well as they can be on the next step call. So again, all of this, if you're an online personal trainer that's making over 5K per month and you want to use challenges and systems and automations and build more leverage within your business, then we've got the Online Trainer Club. We have courses, we have live calls, we have meetups, and we have posts as well where you can get feedback. So here is the next step protocol tracking sheet. I'll just zoom in a little bit. Again, if you want access to this, for free, you can get it in the description below. So what you want to do with your coach or yourself is you want to put the name in, the call date and time, and then you want to put the status: complete, no show, rescheduled, cancelled. We use a software called High Level, so it will automatically update whether they're cancelled to try and get them rescheduled as there. And then what you want to do is outcome based off the call, like what they've said. Then what you want to do is you'll want to have your coaches recording the calls. I highly recommend you use a software called Fathom. It's like an AI call recording, so you can also get the transcript and analyze it from that perspective. And then what you want to do is, if you're going to be 2 weeks of calls with your coach, you don't want to wait until the end of the 2 weeks and being like, oh crap, you only got 5 people signed up. That's not what we want. So what you want to do with your coach, as soon as it's done, at the end of the day, put the call recordings in. And then what you'll do as your job as the business owner is to go through those calls, speed it up to 2 times and give feedback. And we want to know. Paid deposit, and the coach then puts down the actual start date. So they might go, okay, they're going to start on the 30th of March. Then all you're going to do is, once it's been paid the deposit, you tick it. And once the recurring payment's been set up on your end, you'll tick it. And then you can put in the coach that was. So you'll want to use this spreadsheet so you've got some form of tracking and making sure that your coaches do that and they put the call recordings in. So, Luke, what conversion rate should I be looking at? Based on this, you should be looking at between 25 to 50%. Obviously, my client, Sean, and his coach got 85%, but that was based on the number of calls booked in, not the number of people that he was looking after at the start of the challenge. So it'd probably work out around 60%. The factor in the conversion rates, remember, is the price of the challenge versus 1-to-1, the actual number of people that get to the next step protocol in itself, and then factor 3 is how well you execute the next step protocol that I've just given you. And as I said, if you're an online trainer making 5K plus per month, scan the QR code if you're watching this on the telly, or just go over to onlinetrainer.club. If you're wondering, how do I launch a successful challenge? Then click on this video here where I give you 10 tips on how to have your best launch.